What is going on, everybody? Let me get, yeah, there we go. There we go. All right. The weekend that was in college football. Curious what's this top 25. Yeah, so interesting about this power rankings. I like how Longhorns dropped 2 spots, and Oregon and Ohio State didn't beat anybody worth a damn. Like Texas was off, and it's like, oh yeah, Texas dropped 2. What? Whatever. And Oregon doesn't look that impressive. Ohio State does look impressive, but they just haven't played anybody. And we're going to find out. One of those 2 teams is going to go down this weekend. I wonder if they move them both up because they're going to play this weekend. And, it looks good for ratings. We can advertise 1 and 2. But this is the power rankings, not the official AP rankings. So, anyways, Penn State. Wow. Georgia Bulldogs. I like how some of these teams that moved up played like nobodies. Even Georgia. Miami. Alabama guy. That's crazy. Clemson, Tennessee, Iowa State, Ole Miss, BYU, Notre Dame, Indiana, Texas A&M. Texas A&M looked very impressive. LSU, Boise State, Kansas State, Pittsburgh, Oklahoma Sooners, Utah Utes, SMU Mustangs, Missouri, Illinois, and Army. Go Army. Beat Navy. Wow. Cool. Army. Top 25 on the power rankings. That is rather impressive. All right. Anyways, let's go check the rankings. All right. The week that was. The week that was. Well. All right. Texas moved up a slot. Doesn't really matter because they didn't play. Ohio State did play. Who'd they play? I forget who they played. Iowa. And yeah, it's Iowa. You have an offense, you're going to beat Iowa. All right. Oregon. They did play Michigan State. Beat Michigan State. Not really so much to say there because these 2 teams are going to play this next weekend, and this is going to be their first real test for both of those teams. So, yeah, this is a big measuring stick game for both of those teams because neither one of them played really anybody. So, there you go. Ohio State, Oregon. We're going to find out what y'all are about this next Saturday. Penn State. They've gotten an okay win against Illinois, UCLA. Yeah, West Virginia. You can say West Virginia also, but yeah. They haven't played like a top 15 team. So we'll find out about Penn State eventually down the line. Georgia, they had a little bounce back against Auburn. Yeah, Auburn coming from the Alabama loss. They bounced back a little bit. Tennessee. All right. There was a lot of crazy games this past weekend. And here's the... What? Did this thing just refresh? All right, whatever. All right, whatever. I don't know. That was weird. Miami went out to Cal and all the way across the country and got the win by a point, 39-38. A lot of people probably didn't see that game because, well, it was so late at night. But they did get the win against Cal. Wasn't really... Excuse me. Sorry. mute that next time. Anyways, Miami got that dub late, and it might have been Sunday morning. Honestly, when they got the win, they play those late games out there in the West Coast. Not to say Miami looked super impressive. They did have the frantic comeback at the end, but they did win going across country. Game day was there. Yeah, other than that, Miami's not really hurting on any kind of competition throughout the season. They're going to have a couple of games that could be somewhat difficult, but they're going to be they're probably heavily favored for the rest of the year. I think they will play Clemson, and if they don't on their schedule, they will at the ACC championship game. So there you go. Alabama. Ooh, man. Dang. Dude, that Vandy game was crazy. I missed the first quarter. Dude, Alabama's playing Vandy. Alabama #1. I would have tuned into that ass stomping. But after that first quarter, I was like, oh, interesting. Let me just kind of watch this a little bit. And I would say I was very impressed by Anchor Down. Anchor Down was not just winning the game. They were controlling big parts of that game. They were doing work. It wasn't like they were moving Alabama off the ball on both sides. It was very impressive. The Alabama was starting to get it rolling. They were starting to make the comeback. They were starting to keep, Vandy out of the end zone, stop getting them touchdowns. And that's what you need, right? When you're on the comeback, you cannot let the other team get touchdowns. Field goals or punts, okay. But they were making that comeback. And this is when I knew Alabama was in trouble. This was the point in the game I knew Alabama was in major, major trouble. They had just passed midfield in the fourth quarter at about the 9.5 mark. Vandy, D-end, comes around the edge, gets around the tackle, strip, sack, fumble, recovery. Vandy goes down and gets a touchdown. Not on the same play, but after the recovery, they go down, they get that touchdown. When they got that strip, sack, fumble, I was like, ooh, that was a big deal because we got 9.5 left. And you're thinking if Vandy could put together a 3-4 minute drive and get a touchdown out of this, that would almost basically cinch it for Vandy, right? Because you're going to get 2 scores in a matter of maybe, whatever time was left, like 5.5, 6 minutes. And so they did go down. They got the touchdown. That really put Alabama behind. Alabama then goes down, gets the touchdown, but not able to then stop Vandy in the last 2.5 minutes, 2 minutes. And that was the thing, is like Vandy was just kind of pushing Alabama around. And that's crazy to say that Vandy was very competitive at the line of scrimmage. That is crazy. Crazy to say that. Like, there's no excuse for Vandy to be pushing with Alabama at all. Like, that should have been the one thing. Like, okay, you get some crazy trick plays, you get some fluke plays, okay, but there should be none of the Vandy's pushing you around kind of at the line of scrimmage. They were basically running like a quadruple option kind of offense. I think their quarterback only had 1 incompletion. But yeah, that fumble at the 9:30 mark, that was a huge deal because Alabama kind of had the momentum at that point in time. They were coming back. If they would have scored a touchdown on that drive, they would have been ahead. And then Vandy gets that strip sack. They get the recovery, and then they go down to the preceding possession, get that touchdown. And that was absolutely amazing. And it was crazy to see the stands because it was like 70, 75% Crimson. And Vandy stormed the field with all like 200 fans they had in the stands. They'd tear down the goalpost, they'd take it down, they'd throw it in the river, which is like a 3-mile walk, I guess, from the stadium to the river. That was really cool, man. Social media was pretty cool to see that. Anyways, Alabama. That's going to be a tough one for the committee to really look at the end of the year is Alabama, because that loss to Vandy was nuts. And I really hope the coach for Vandy, he just kind of walked into that locker room after and said, "Hey, I'll see you guys at practice or whatever the next team meeting is, whether it's Sunday or Monday." Because it's like those kids should live in that moment, not even realizing that that will be something that they will get recognized for the rest of their life. They will be called back to Vandy in 5, 10, 20, 30, 50 years to be recognized for what they did. They had never beat a top 5 team, and they had lost like 23 straight to Alabama. And they got the win, not even just against a top 5 team, but a number 1 team. And Alabama looked really good the week before against Georgia. So, yeah, I really hope coaches just kind of let them have that moment, because I don't even think the kids even realize how much what they actually kind of did. Anyways, moving on. Alabama. Poof. Oh, man. Crazy. Tennessee. Woo. Tennessee. Definitely, for how much people have talked about the explosiveness on the offense and stuff like that, they got stranglehold by Arkansas. They had the boa constrictor out. So yeah, Arkansas put it on them. The defense. Tennessee had 0 points by halftime, and they could not do anything really against Arkansas. They got 2 touchdowns by the end of the game. I think they wound up losing 16-14. But that it was I think Arkansas really kind of showed how, I'd say vulnerable, but not really vulnerable, but just how to kind of beat Tennessee's offense maybe. That was a very impressive kind of game, and that was the game that Arkansas needed. That was the kind of game Arkansas needed to win against Tennessee. Very impressive. Tennessee going down, man. Another SEC team. You know, I'm really glad my Longhorns had the week off, but whew, that was some brutal beatdowns or losses, and shocking losses by some teams that hadn't lost before, especially some top tier SEC teams. Ole Miss, I don't really know if they even played or if it even mattered. South Carolina, that's right. Yeah. Yeah, it didn't matter. I remember seeing that game on now. Yeah, Ole Miss didn't really struggle too much. Definitely just did not let South Carolina do anything on offense. Clemson has started to have the revival after the Georgia game. A lot of people thought that they were dead. Oh, man, look, Clemson couldn't do anything against Georgia. And by the way, that was Georgia's best game of the year. By far was game 1. Ever since then, Georgia kind of spinning wheels here, but they crushed Florida State. Everybody's crushing Florida State this year. So not like a huge win, but you know, there you go. Clemson getting the W. It seems like there's probably nothing between them and Miami kind of owning the ACC this year. Iowa State, sleepy undefeated. I've been very much said this before. I don't know anybody that plays on Iowa State, any other top talent or anything like that. But the one thing I'll say is I've been a big fan of their head coach. I'm really surprised he has not gotten hired at a bigger program. I think he runs a very good team. His teams like almost never beat themselves. They are always disciplined, and they're always in it. And right now, Iowa State looking like obviously the clear front runner for the Big 12. Who did they play this past week? Baylor. Yeah. But Iowa State, obviously, you're going to have not a cupcake schedule. Some of these teams in here are going to be somewhat difficult, but they're going to get Utah, Kansas State, and then the Big 12 championship game. So 3 games at the end of the year are going to be Tough for Iowa State there to see if they win the Big 12. There you go. Notre Dame. Who did y'all play, Notre Dame? Were y'all off? It looks like y'all were off. Because I know y'all didn't play Louisville. Yeah, y'all were off. So, yeah, Notre Dame was off. Stanford is next this next week. You are going to be hosting Stanford. And there you go. Notre Dame doesn't have anybody tough all the rest of the way, except for Navy and Army, who are both undefeated. USC, who started off really good, has now been faltering, but still, that's going to be a rivalry game. Anyways, Notre Dame off this week. LSU, did not play. They've already played South Alabama. All right. LSU was off. They didn't really do anything. So there you go. As far as BYU, I know BYU played. No, they did not, because two teams played Baylor. Yeah. BYU was also off. Not a big deal. Texas A&M. They got a huge win. And over Missouri, we'll talk about Missouri when we get there. But Texas A&M, if you watch that game, that was another big upset over the weekend. You're thinking Texas A&M is like a top 10 team, like top 5 team, top 10 team, something like that. A&M controlled every aspect of that game. I have been not exactly high on Connor Wigman and thought Reed should stay in there because, he did okay. Not the best of throwers there. But it provided a little bit more mobility than Wigman. Anyways, watching that game, Wigman was out there dicing. It was crazy to see him out there throwing because he's never shown that. And I talked to my aunt, who's, aunt and cousins, half of my family is like big time Aggies, and they were loving it. They've never seen this from Wigman. And I would have to agree. I was like, where'd this fool come from? Like, maybe a couple weeks off, cleared his head or something. But he, they came out and dominated that game. They dominated at the line of scrimmage. They dominated on defense. They showed Missouri has no run game. And so they were able to play the pass the whole time. Everything was contested. A&M handled Missouri, who was in the top 10. It was an impressive win. If A&M plays like that, they are a top 10 team easily, possibly top 5. That was a very, very impressive game by Texas A&M, especially if Wegman's playing like that. That was really good. I'm thinking now my Texas Longhorns at the end of the year when they play Texas A&M in College Station. I don't know if that's going to be a cupcake win now. I think that's going to be a really interesting, tough game. For how balanced and impressive Texas A&M looked. They look really good. They look really good. Utah Utes. That's right. Y'all didn't play. So Utah was off. Don't need to talk about them. Boise State. Dude, this team is super sleepy, man. So yeah, Boise State played Utah State, won 62-30. The only, I haven't been able to see Boise State because they play so late. But the one thing I'll say is they have a running back who is crushing stats. He gets over 200 yards a game, and I think by halftime of this past week, he had over 150. I think by halftime, maybe 130 by halftime. It was crazy. It's nuts. The things that he's doing, that Boise State's doing. So, yeah, they're looking pretty good. Probably going to be that 12 seed or or at least the seed, for the group of five teams. Anyways, Indiana still undefeated, but hasn't played anybody. So I get it. Indiana's undefeated, looking pretty good. They're gonna get a test here in Nebraska this in like 2 weeks. It's not this coming week. It's in 2 weeks. So that'll be a game there for Illinois. And after that, then they got kind of a tough schedule here the back half of the year. We're gonna really find out about Illinois, find out about the Hoosiers, but yeah, woo, Indiana looking pretty good. I think it's the best start that they've had since like what did I see, like 1950s or something like that. Wow, so there you go. Oklahoma, I think they were off. Yeah, they were also off. They'll be playing my Texas Longhorns this next week. Should be a good one. It's always a good one between them. Kansas State was off and not play anybody. And then Missouri, dude, that Texas A&M made them look so bad. Like they couldn't do much. That's probably a correct ranking for them. like they're probably gonna have a lot of teams that they just can outspeed and stuff, but they just could not control against Texas A&M. They couldn't control the line of scrimmage. They can control a lot of things. So Missouri looked very, I'm not even going to say average. They just look pathetic. They look really bad. Pittsburgh. How's Pittsburgh doing? All right. Jesus. So Pittsburgh did play North Carolina. They did get the dub. They are undefeated. They will have Cal this next week. And then they will get SMU in November, Clemson in November, Louisville in November. So they're going to have some pretty tough ones there. They will have some tough games there in November. We'll find out what Pittsburgh is all about. And then we got Illinois. If I said Illinois earlier when I was talking about Indiana, I apologize. I don't know why I'm having a lapse in my head like I think I did. Anyways, Illinois was off, but they're going to get Purdue, Michigan, and Oregon coming up. That's a pretty tough stretch there. Yeah, that's a tough stretch there. And then you got Michigan, who lost again to, who'd they lose to? Washington, that's right. Oh, yeah, it was the rematch of the national championship game. Obviously not even close because the teams have been absolutely gutted with talent. A lot of them gone pro. Washington obviously lost their head coach as well to Alabama. But there you go. Michigan getting that big old fat L to Washington. And yeah, they not surprised, but also kind of surprised. A lot of the reasons why I'm kind of surprised is you should be able to at least play bully ball, but they are very one-dimensional. They don't really have much of the offensive side of the ball that's well-rounded. So, yeah, anyways, Michigan going down. SMU starting to make its way into the top conversation for the ACC. Getting the dub over Louisville. I was kind of shocked to see that outcome. I was watching a little bit of that, but they were both even killed. I think it was basically tied, like right there towards the end of the game. And then SMU kind of just got a touchdown right there at the end of the game. But that was a close game. That was a really close game. And yeah, I mean, they got a pretty manageable schedule going forward. SMU could be also in contention for that ACC championship game. I mean, their next toughest schedule right now is looking like Pitt. Duke's not going to be an easy. They're not going to be an easy W either. And then they'll get Cal at home. So you got to go to Duke, and then you got Pitt. So there's a couple games there for SMU. And there you go. Now, as far as let's do this. All right. Okay. So as far as the top 25, Texas is back up. Not Texas. Texas. Back up to number 1 for now. Ohio State staying at 2. 3 is Miami still. Iowa State is at 4 still. Okay, there you go. 5 is now Oregon. There you go. Oregon has moved up to the 5 spot. 6 is Penn State. So we have, with the huge, shocking losses in the SEC this past weekend, we have Big Ten moving up in the playoff bracketing. There you go, getting some better seeded spots. So there's that. You got Georgia still at 7, stays put. 8 will be someone totally different and new. Alabama falls back from 1 to 8. Alabama. 9 is Tennessee. There you go. Tennessee. And then we got 9, 10. Who's Ole Miss? Ole Miss. And then 11 is Clemson making an appearance here. All right. Clemson getting the last spot. And then you have Boise State sitting there in the group of 5 slot, the 12th slot. So that is how it looks. Go. All right, so I will definitely put this first from now on, covering the 12-team playoff bracket. And if you want to hear my breakdown of the top 25, yeah, feel free to stick around after this for that. But, people are here. Some people might be here just to see how the bracketing is currently playing out. As far as number 1, Texas moves back to the number 1 spot. Number 1, AP. There you go. Number 2, Ohio State stays put. They have not moved from that spot, I don't think, all year. There you go. Number 3 is Miami. Miami sitting there at 6. Number 4, Iowa State down here at 11. That is your first round buys currently. Number 5 is Oregon. They have moved up steadily throughout the year. Oregon is now 5. Penn State is now 6. So we are seeing that jump up for those Big Ten teams because there's been some pretty big losses for the SEC teams over the past couple of weeks, especially this past weekend. There you go, Penn State. Georgia is now number 7, which that's what they were last week. 8 is Alabama. That's where Alabama falls to. Vanderbilt feeling proud of themselves, knocking Alabama to the 1 spot. You also now have Tennessee. I don't know why I said Tennessee. Tennessee. I'm from the South. I'm dyslexic. I know. Tennessee at number 9 spot. And then you got Ole Miss sitting there in the 10 spot. And then Clemson is now making it in the top 12. Sitting there at 11. They actually round out the Power 4 with Boise State getting the group of 5 spot. There you go. So that's the way the current playoff bracket looks. Boise State still sitting there at 12. So, obviously we had some big-time shakeups with some huge, crazy losses for the college football playoff, but that is how the breakdown is for now. For week, whatever week this is, 6. We're on week 6. There you go. So, there you go. That is how it currently looks. All right. There's that. Boom. All right. All right. Had somebody... So, I would love to read this article from the New York Times. I had someone send me this, but it's behind a paywall, and yeah, I'm not making an account with the New York Times. But basically, the headline is Trump's speeches increasingly angry, rambling, and Trump's speeches increasingly angry and rambling reignite the reignite the question of age. Well, the thing I'll say is at least he can form sentences, not like me. And the Democrats told us for like 6 years that, oh, Biden's fine. Even up to like a week before they replaced him with Kamala Harris, they said he was fine. That, oh yeah, he's reinvigorated and sharp, and I like how he's all these things in private, but can't hold a conversation in public. So yeah, I don't care what New York Times thinks, because that's all they said over the past several years. Even the week or two after the Trump and Biden debate was, oh yeah, no, he's sharp, he's with it, and everybody saw that they were complete lying. They were completely lying, and you know what? I haven't seen anything about Trump's speeches, him being increasingly angry and rambling. So I don't know what they would possibly have to say that. I mean, he always rambles. Okay, so I mean, he's always rambling. So I don't know what the point would be, and and the other thing I'll say is, at least Trump does speeches and does rallies and stuff. Kamala, they just got her in a box somewhere. Like, you don't ever hear from her, ever, unless it is a dire situation. Oh, we have to get you out there to save face and make you have a photo op, just like she was out there with the hurricane and, talking point that she did here. trying to find it.
$150, and the federal relief and assistance that we have been providing has included FEMA providing $750 for folks who need immediate needs being met, such as food, baby formula, and the like, and you can apply now.
Right now, we have to strengthen Ukraine's position on the battlefield. And that's why today I'm proud to announce a new $2.4 billion package of security assistance.
And
yeah. So Trump sounding old and rambly. Is that your point? Dude, she can't even read off of a script. Like can she read? I have no idea. But she can barely read $750. Like, how do you not, like, okay, I'm going to get out there, I'll make a little press conference. Hey, we're going to give $750 to all the hurricane victims. Make it as easy as possible. No. Hell, you got to go apply for it and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, dude, this is like the only speaking engagement she's done. Like one of the few over the past few weeks. She never takes questions. She never answers to anybody. Anytime she does do an interview with someone, it's her same talking points from her speech. She doesn't deviate. And to be pretty honest, as far as like Trump angry, dude, they've gone after him with the courts for years now. So what do you mean? Like, wouldn't you be angry? Wouldn't you be angry fighting all these lawsuits? Having them trying to shoot at you? All these assassination attempts and stuff like that? Like, it's ridiculous, man. So they'll say that, oh man, Trump's speeches have increased anger and he rambles. He's always rambles. That's nothing new. But it hasn't reignited anything about oldness. Okay? People are tired of this corrupt ass government. And she's been there for almost 4 years, 3.5 years, a little bit over 3.5 years. Yeah. Them giving more money to foreign countries rather than people that have had their lives destroyed by whatever natural disasters that have happened. No, man. No. You know what? I got one for you.
LGBT spark.
And this was a FEMA preparedness meeting with, I guess, I don't know, some representative of FEMA. I don't know if these are all FEMA, but obviously this guy here with the FEMA background obviously is. Yeah, I'll let you just listen to this.
Sparked a few things in my mind, thinking about preparedness and how you said, LGBTQIA people and people who have been disadvantaged already are struggling. They already have their own things to deal with. So you add a disaster on top of that. It's just,
bro, we all have our own things to deal with,
compounding on itself. And I think that is maybe the why of why we're having these discussions, is because it isn't being talked about. It isn't being socialized. We're not paying attention to this community. Thank you so much. Maggie.
Thank you. Yeah, there are a couple of things that are intersecting in my.
You could tell these people are freaking brain dead as shit. You got she, her. What did he have? He had he, they. Get the fuck out of here.
Thank you. There are a couple of things that are intersecting in my mind here. One of them is the culture of emergency management as an organization, as an industry in the United States specifically, not abroad. This has, and my cat sometimes does this, she gets really loud suddenly, so you'll have to just allow for the little meowing in the background. The shift that we're seeing right now is a shift in emergency management from utilitarian principles where everything is designed for the greatest good for the greatest amount of people to disaster equity. But we have to do more, right? And so this topic is intersecting, I think, with a number of other topics where we have to look at policies and understand to what extent they have disadvantaged communities that had less assets, communities that had pre-existing vulnerabilities in accessing disaster-related recovery support.
Dude, just help people. Like, why do we gotta say, hey, are you a part of the community I care about? Are you a part of my community? Fuck. Dude, this is the shit that people why Trump draws in huge rallies, support from a lot of people. Because it's this shit. And FEMA should be done away with. Absolutely, FEMA should be done away with. If that's the shit that they're trying to do and discuss in FEMA meetings, absolutely do away with FEMA. Anyways. Oh, man. What else we got going on? Oh, Jose, what? Where? Hold on. Let me get caught up. Where did we read they need to go to online to apply for aid? Where did we read it? So he didn't cheat on his... Oh, my gosh. My man. All right. So he didn't cheat on his wife. That's not guilty of anything. That's between him and his wife. He didn't commit fraud. No, he did not. Or did he commit fraud? Is it he didn't commit fraud? Like in what way? He didn't commit fraud. He didn't sexually assault E. Jean Carroll. No, he didn't. All of these things that you're asking about, they are all going to be contested on appeal. Jeez, I lost the word, my man. I lost the word. He didn't instigate an attack on the Capitol. No, he did not. He didn't try to interfere with Georgia's election. No, he did not. Actually, if you want to go down the election stuff, we can look at all that. I tell you what, we'll do that tomorrow. We'll go through some of the stuff. Let me write this down. We'll go through it tomorrow. Because, dude, we'll be here for freaking hours, my man. Be here for hours, brother. Let's see. I'm assuming you're talking about January 6th. January 6th. Capitol. Yeah, that's good. Georgia's election. All right. We'll try to tackle some of those. He didn't have classified documents at Mar-a-Lago. No. And if you want to go down the classified documents route, Biden's had them since they found classified documents at Biden's residence since the 90s. Oh, last I looked, he wasn't president in the 90s. What else we got? Hold on. Yeah, it's an environmental tragedy. It's unplanned. I don't know why I had this minimized. I didn't see all these while I was talking through. That's exactly what she's saying, dummy. She's saying aid should be for all, not for only for those who want to help. Hold on. She's saying aid should be for all, not only for those we want to help. Well, why are they singling out the alphabet community? Why are they hold on. Why are they stated? Don't destroy my headset. Dude, I missed where you were typing all that. I missed it. Hey, are you there? Jose, are you there? Oh, I just opened something I didn't mean to. There we go. Jose.
You got me?
There we go. Bro! Good to hear your
Bro.
voice, man.
What the hell? I'm trying to get your volume up.
Trying to get my volume up? I don't
Yeah.
know. Up button.
My-
Up button. Dude, it's good to hear your voice, brother.
Same.
Well, you've heard my voice.
Oh, there we go. I got you. All right. For the classified documents, the difference was that they came to him and said, hey, we want these records back. They don't belong to you. His lawyer then signed a document and said, here's what we have. Here's everything. I've checked all the residents. This is everything that's left. They found out through informants in Mar-a-Lago that that wasn't true. Hence, they raided the place and found hundreds of more documents. Biden, they checked his house and went like, we have these documents. Do you have anything else? No. Go search. And they didn't find anything else other than that. So, like, the fact that he tried to actively hide them from them by having a lawyer sign official documents saying, like, this is it. That's a huge difference. Even Pence got caught up in that.
All right, I wrote it down. Trump stocks. We'll look at it this week.
Like,
Damn, I missed you typing all this. I had something else up talking
no.
all this
No,
as I was going through stuff, like I totally missed when you were hitting me back on stuff. Hold on. That's just where she says dummy. She's saying aid should be for all, not for only for why. But hold on. But on the before I'm gonna get diet on here because I'm gonna talk about the Intel chip thing that they fixed. I told them we would talk about that earlier. But she was literally talking. Why even bring up the alphabet people? Why need to bring up the alphabet people?
She I don't think ever talked about the LGBT community. She said for disadvantage.
Who? Hold on. Who? Which?
The lady with the she/her that you were ragging on.
Well, no. Lady? Yeah, she. Hold on. You might get some feedback here.
Yeah, I got you.
Has, and my cat sometimes does this. She gets really loud suddenly,
left,
so you'll have to just allow for the little meowing in the background.
She's saying it's a money disparity.
You know, the shift that we're seeing.
Like, if you're rich and wealthy, she's saying, like, those people are probably getting more aid than the poor people. She didn't.
What? That is not how I took this.
Yeah, like, so she's saying aid should be utilitarian, right?
Yeah, and it is $750 across the board.
But that's not the end of the conversation, right? There's also getting to people's houses, making sure they have water and food and stuff like that, right? Which, if you are a wealthy person and you could just leave to go stay at a hotel, it's not as big an issue. But if you don't have anywhere to go, you can't move, you just lost everything because you live in one house, you're in more need than somebody who's making, $1 million. And not saying it's
there's a big difference on saying, hey, we should help the poor communities, because I mean, understand something. When you're saying I'm going to help the poor communities, that's probably where more people are anyways. You
Yeah,
know,
exactly.
I would completely agree. But the fact that this Tyler Atkinson and this Maggie Jerry were both
Yeah.
talking about the alphabet people, which I'm not going to say that the alphabet people are poor or rich or anything. Why not just say poor people? We need to help the areas where there are more people poor per like real estate per square mile per acre, because that's typically where poor people are going to be, is they're going to be in more tightly packed areas of real estate. But they didn't say that. And that's the problem.
No,
That's
and
where a lot of people are like, why not just say, okay, help poor people? No, you're saying, okay, we're going to prioritize helping out. Like, you just seem to say, hey, we're going to help everybody we can. We're going to prioritize, community, the poorer communities or township communities, because that's, probably where more people are rather than
I don't
the
understand. I don't
suburbs.
know the context in which they're giving this talk. If it's specifically for a specific group, it just because they're talking about a specific group and they're just like talking about how do we help these people doesn't mean they're against helping everybody. Does that make sense?
No, I mean, I can understand that. I'm not going to
Like
say that. I'm
they're
not
just
going to
talking
say.
about like, hey, there's LGBT people in these communities, and for whatever reason, they are being like marginalized in the aid effort. Like people who in the community are just like, well, I'm not going to go help them because they're just against them.
Right.
Like
No, I mean, I
like,
get that. But why do you need to even bring them up? There's such a
well,
small
I don't know the
percentage.
context in which
There's
they're having this
probably
conversation.
right,
Again,
but there's such a small percentage of those people. Why do we need to focus on them? They would get assistance. Like, is there going to be like this alphabet people kind of like apartment complex that they're going to prioritize that? No, they're probably just in an apartment complex. They can
and
go
again,
on a line and apply for the $750 assistance just like everybody else. But I don't know what the necessary reason is to bring them up. There's such a small part of
the whole. Yeah, I get that.
So what do you need to talk about them for? And you're supposed to be the federal government. You're not supposed to be the, hey, we're championing Pride Month.
Well, it's a very dangerous conversation.
What's dangerous about it?
Well, here's another example of like, why do we need to talk about them? Conversation. Black people in that community make up 18%. They are the minority, so we don't even need to talk about them getting aid. It's the reasoning works. It just comes to a bad outcome, right?
Yeah, let me know if you get any feedback. Yeah. But as far as, yeah, I mean, the reasoning just doesn't make sense. Like when you're trying to help people out of a natural disaster, the last thing you should be talked about is, do you fit within the constructs of the people that we appeal to? Right?
I think they're saying there are people who don't fit into the constructs, and for whatever reason, they are being marginalized and not getting the aid. It has nothing to say that other people aren't, like, they're saying other people are getting aid, these people aren't, and we would like to fix that disparity. Like, why are they being singled out for not getting aid?
So there's more resources and effort being made to reach out to such a minority of people that what's the value? What's it worth?
No. I mean, it's two people having a conversation on a podcast. It has no bearing on the actual efforts that are happening in that community. Nor do I think these two people are like the shot callers who are making policy on triaging who's going to get
So
first.
this FEMA disaster preparedness meeting, was this not like a FEMA sponsored type, or is this not a FEMA organized type meeting? I get it. It looks like it could be a podcast.
Like the brief snippet I got, that seems to be a policy discussion and not a how we are doing it discussion. Like one is like academic, the other is like boots on the ground doing the work. And this seems to be more of an academic like exercise and thought process and policies of like how do we bring like these concepts into real life. It's not what's going on.
Right. Okay. Even still, I don't want the government talking about that. Like that shouldn't be the government's job. That should not be the government's focus.
Well, I don't know if you read the post I sent to you. It was like maybe like.
Are you talking about the
30
Wall
minutes.
Street Journal? So I could not because it was behind a paywall.
No. I sent that like earlier this morning. It was another post responding that there's an article out there with them talking about Mike Johnson, the speaker, and Biden's trying to get him to recall Congress.
Where did you send this to me directly?
I didn't send the link, but if you go on.
Yeah. I think
Mike
you
Johnson's
sent that.
like, no, I'm not calling back Congress to pass emergency funding.
Hold on. Yeah, so I know what you're talking about. I'm trying to find it because I saw you put that. Give me a sec. I am trying to find it. I'm gonna redo the damn Discord because holy shit, I can't find it.
Yeah, it's Starfield themed, and I think we've moved on.
Dude, it crashed. All right. I tell you what, we'll talk about the Mike Johnson thing. I'm gonna get died on here, but we'll talk about some of this.
About Starfield, we could definitely do that. We could just shift gears and get the fuck off this altogether.
What? Oh, Starfield?
We can get off politics and we could just talk about Starfield if you want.
Have you played it? I don't mind talking politics, and I like having discussions. Like I like figuring stuff out. I love that. But we don't have to talk about this right now, and I don't mind talking about this as we go on. We can pick up one of these topics and talk about it throughout the week, and talk about other stuff.
However you want to do it, man. Like I like talking to you, dude. Even though you're a little crude.
I am crude. I'm blunt. I don't like to say crude. I'm blunt.
Yeah,
I'm blunt.
Like, but I know, like you mean well. You're just. I mean, but you're Army. You don't really think that much, so it's okay.
Oh my God! This guy busted.
I just never expected much anyway, so it was okay.
Funds for disaster.
Yeah, so Biden tried to get them to add emergency funding into the spending bill, but it was like a stopgap just to make sure the government was running.
Yeah.
And then when he's trying to get Speaker Johnson like, hey, bring Congress back so they can vote on this, Johnson's like, no. It'll take time for us to like assess the damages before we put a number to this. So we'll do it when we get back after the elections.
Yeah, we can go down that. We can go down that rabbit hole. We can go down it later this week.
Yeah,
it's more than just he said, she said, but
no. And I if any group of people is going to be dinged for trying to spend too much on people, it's going to be the Democrats. Give me a second. Let me grab this damn money.
Where are you located, by the way?
Maryland.
Oh, you're up in Maryland. Okay. Hey, do you what do you do right? Do you work at are you a longshoreman?
Me? No, I work for people.
Okay. I was just curious. Do you have a lot of those ports around?
No, I live out in the middle of nowhere.
Oh, okay. All right. Because I was curious, like if you lived in that part of Maryland, like along the coast or whatever.
I live in, if you will, where if you would, Baltimore is like a Democratic hub.
Yeah.
I live not there. I live out in the middle of nowhere where everybody's flying a Trump flag.
And you're like, no, I gotta resist.
No, I think
You're like, I am the resistance.
No, I think he's a despicable human being.
Why?
I think he's a piece of shit. Sorry for the language on your podcast.
You're all right, dude. That's all right. But you are
no,
you are banned from sending me internet videos, though.
Yeah. Had to change your entire channel name, everything. Seth Meyers fucking went after you, huh?
So all right. So as far as like the channel name change and why I did that, I'd been wanting to do that because like we said, like Starfield did not exactly pan out as the funnest thing ever. But
Yeah.
I mean, I just enjoy talking about whatever, and I think I kind of agree with Vance, like, and other people, like, we should be able to any community should be able to talk about politics without being like threatened. Like, we should be able to talk about it. And
No, but I think if we're going to have a conversation, like I think for the most part that debate between Vance and Waltz was like refreshing. Like even though they didn't agree on everything, they were willing to concede. Like, yeah, I agree with that. Like that's fine. I get
Dude.
that line of thought, but how we accomplish that is different. And that's a good place to work from for politics. Of like, this is a problem, and you agree it's a problem. The question is, how do we solve that problem? And that's where we run into conflict.
oh yeah,
And that's normal, healthy discourse that we should be able to have. But when you got like one dude up there who's like, these people are low IQ, demented, eating babies, and it's like, dude, like, I can't have a conversation with you if that's where we're gonna go.
are we talking about eating babies?
Oh, no, that's Marjorie Taylor Greene. Oh, no, it wasn't Marjorie Taylor Greene. Not recently, anyways. That was Roseanne Barr on Tucker Carlson, saying that Hollywood celebrities are drinking
Both sides have both sides have complete wackos. And yeah.
But for me, I think MAGA is being led by a wacko. Yeah, he's a like. Do you?
Hold on.
In 2016, or not even 2016. Do you think who Trump is prior to 2016? If we knew all the things about him that we know now, that we did then, that he would have made it into office, that he was cheating on his wife when she was pregnant with porn stars. Like
Bill Clinton got a blowjob in the Oval Office, dude.
Yeah, no, and luckily it was in his second term because he wasn't going to get elected again.
Well,
and
that is probably true.
And he got impeached because of it. In the House, he didn't, not in the Senate, but in the House, he got impeached.
Yeah, I know.
So, I mean, we held him to account.
Dude, Trump. I'll agree with you. I am not the biggest fan of his at all. At all. I could never stand to hear him talk, even back when he had his show. What was his show back in the day?
Oh, The Apprentice.
Yes, I couldn't. I mean, I just like it. Even the Celebrity Apprentice side, when they had like a bunch of different celebs on there, like yeah, okay. I like business, so I was always kind of curious about it, but I just could never stand to watch and listen to. I just couldn't stand to listen to him. I mean, I still can't listen. Like listening to him at the debate against Kamala, I'm just like, dude, I just can't. I just don't like listening. I just don't like listening. I just don't like. I don't like the way he talks. Just like his mannerisms. It's not what he says. It's his mannerisms, and he just kind of he gets caught. He gets caught on this all the time. He's an over exaggerator. Always
did
over
you see that,
exaggerates.
like article or his interview where he's up on stage, and the lady asks him, "What are you going to do about childcare? What kind of policies will you put in place?" And he just goes like on this random tangent. And it's like, what are you talking about, dude?
Yeah, no, I get it. I get it. Like he's
Like, what
he's
are
got
you
to
doing?
spew out an answer, and it's like, dude, it's okay if you don't have one. Just say, it's not really something I'm focused on right now, but I'm willing to look at it if we solve other issues.
Yeah.
Like it's not hard, but
Well,
he
the other
just
one where
he just can't do
I
it.
think it was in it was either Wisconsin or Pennsylvania, where he's like, "Oh, on the MK47s, I'm expert on guns now." Recently, and it's like, you mean the AK-47?
Yeah, I'm like, oh. I missed that. I didn't see that. Oh, is that why that was trending? I saw that trending a few weeks back.
Yeah, like
Oh.
he just like he's never wrong.
Oh, by the way, Diet
And
says
anytime
he
gets
thinks you're
caught in,
CIA.
like, yeah, and unless he gets caught in some sort of like
He said, yeah.
secret, like in every time he gets caught in like a gotcha moment, he's like, "Well, I didn't read that text. Oh, I don't know. I didn't look it up. I haven't heard anything about that." It's like, it's really convenient. Every time something controversial happens, you're just like, "Oh, I'm not really." It's like the the guy who was going for governor of North Carolina with his porn posts.
Oh, the black guy.
Black Nazi.
God damn it. Damn, what is his name?
Yeah, I forget.
I saw that come out. Honestly, that doesn't bother me at all. And I'm
He
like,
called
how the
himself
hell
Black
did
Nazi.
Mark Robinson? Yeah, Diet Cola got it. Mark Robinson. Yeah. Like that doesn't honestly that doesn't bother me. It's like, dude, that's your private life. It's not really concerning to me. And that's the same way I feel about Trump and the whole the porn star thing. The only thing I'll say about the porn star thing is she's a porn star, so you're supposed to shut your mouth. But anyways, I'm not gonna go into.
But also, like to tell her, like, before you sleep with her, you remind me so much of my daughter.
Hold on, who said that?
Trump to Stormy Daniels.
Oh, he's role playing because ain't no way she looks like his daughter.
Yeah, but for him to like say that and then like sleep with her and be like that. But,
So
like,
here's the thing: is you have to trust a porn star. So like, are we really doing that? Are we really saying that her word is the gospel of everything? That
when you think bad people can't tell the truth?
I think bad people you don't know when they are and when they aren't. That's the problem.
But is doing porn, does that make you a bad person?
No, not really.
Does that make you unintelligent? Does that make you like why? Because right now there's over 3 million accounts on OnlyFans just in the United States.
I know. I'm running 3 of them.
Yeah.
I wish.
Like,
I wish I was making that much money. Jesus. My
and you gotta
milkshake brings
figure,
all the boys
I
to the
think-
yard.
And they said, I think 80% of them are women who get naked.
Yeah. Oh no. It's
So-
yeah. It was like 90%. Dude, do you remember?
Yeah.
Do you remember a couple years ago when the guy that was running that website, he was a Christian guy, and he was like, "I don't want porn on being the main feature of this website," and was like,
That's
"I'm
not
gonna
what
shut it
happened.
down." And then like 24 hours later, like, "Yeah, I'm not shutting this down."
That's not what
Dude, he
happened.
was
They,
making millions off of.
Visa and all those companies said, we don't want our credit cards and whatever that with that thing associated with pornography. So we are going to pull all of your ability to use our cards like MasterCard or Visa from your platform. And he was like, "Oh, I'll correct this and get your money back." And then he realized how much money he was losing from that. And he went, So long, Visa and MasterCard. I'll find another way to get money.
Oh yeah, no kidding.
Yeah. It's like you. Yeah, like that was a push from like Visa and MasterCard and the credit card companies. That wasn't him because he's religious. Like, OnlyFans has been going on for like a decade.
Well,
And then, like,
yeah.
suddenly, oh my God, I didn't know the kind of content that was on here.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, no, that's crazy. All right, man. We'll talk more about stuff later this week. I wrote down
All right, brother.
different topics. All right, man.
Yep. All right, later, bro.
Later, bud. Diet. Let's do it.
Hello.
What up, bud? Did you wake up?
This is John calling in from Cincinnati.
What? Dawn. Who's Dawn?
How you doing, man?
Is it girl Dawn or guy Dawn?
This is definitely a dude.
All right.
Okay, so we talking Intel or we talking Intel?
We're talking Intel. What do you got? Hey, man, how was, never mind. You probably don't want to answer anyways.
Here's what I think about Intel.
So, hold on.
I
So, do you have any good articles that reference this?
Most of my information is coming out from videos, not articles.
Okay, so Intel CPU crashes. What do you need to know? Intel explains the root cause and plans a final microcode fix for 13, 14 gen CPUs, which apparently has kind of fixed it, right? Is that what we are not hearing or hearing? Is that what
Well,
what are the videos saying?
so they quote fixed it, or did they?
Right.
This is
So
like
I
the third or fourth firmware update they've pushed. I think it's the third one that they've pushed for the same issue. So, and every time they've said they've quote fixed it.
yeah, right. This is
And-
not the first time that they've said they fixed it.
And so at this point, 13th gen is already out the door and done with. 14th gen is pretty much done with. They're announcing 15th gen like later in October. And they're not calling it 15th gen, they're calling it Core Ultra, whatever. But my question is,
Is it like the same archetype that?
no, it's a completely new architecture.
Okay, so if
So
you
my
were
question is anyone going to buy a flawed product at this point? Like their remaining stock, if you're aware of the issue, why would you buy it? And two, if you're not aware of the issue, then like, you know, most people are just going to buy it because it's what Best Buy offers them, or it's embedded in some laptop and there's not a lot of good choices there other than Intel. And they're just going to be blissfully ignorant and be like, no, it's fine. My computer's running fine. You know, they're not going to understand that they could be running at a performance loss and not even realize it, because they may think all computers just get slow over time.
right, so
I want to take a look at this issue from the stance of the entire company itself. They've lost a lot of money on this issue. They're basically setting money on fire with their foundry business, right? Like their foundry business is not.
So here on Tech Power Up, you even have, I know something that you've mentioned before is like some of the top posts, most recent posts about the possible of this fix. And obviously it's going to take a little bit of time. People are still going to have to test and figure it out over the long term.
Sure.
But, you know, some of these top posts are like, nope, I don't believe Intel at all. Reputation's already been damaged. and that, I mean, that is, and those are the people, right, that you are directly like working with, not like you're casual or anybody
Yeah,
like.
it is in the enthusiast market. It is not going to hurt them this generation. Where it's really going to hurt them is next generation with the Core Ultra CPUs and people going, "Oh yeah, I heard about that thing a couple of months ago. I don't want that. I'm going to buy something else." So a lot of pre-built sales may see AMD on the uptick more, and people who are building PCs are definitely going to see AMD on the uptick more.
Yeah.
As far as what's offered from like larger OEMs like Dell and stuff like that, they're probably going to sell a lot of Intel products.
Oh, they probably got to move inventory, and they probably have longer term contracts.
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah. The so there's a lot of like I've been talking a lot about retail, right? But what we haven't talked about like is large businesses.
Mm-hmm.
So when somebody like my former employee, Fidelity Investments, goes and says, "I'm gonna buy 80,000 of these desktops and 20,000 of these laptops," if someone in the purchasing position is aware of this issue, they're going to take that into consideration. And it takes a lot of consumers to make up for one choice like that from a purchasing manager at a very, very large company. You know, and there may still be reasons to choose Intel, but people are not going to want to deal with switching out chips in individual workstations, right? So I think in the last stream we talked about how these game companies were having data center guys go and pull the server and switch out the processor to fix the issue. They were doing it like fairly frequently.
Mm-hmm.
Well, if you have like guys who just have workstation grade computers with high-end processors in them, you don't want your help desk guys running around switching out processors.
No, that's time consuming.
So, you know, on the large scale business side of it, if purchasing managers are aware of it, do they care enough to deal with it, or are they going to go with AMD? And on the gaming enthusiast side of it, people are definitely shifting more towards AMD. On the video game server side of it, they're definitely shifting more towards AMD because they don't want the downtime in the issues.
Right.
And then on the business side of it, Intel's losing a lot of money replacing product.
Mm-hmm.
So that kind of brings me back around to my first point, like, how is Intel as a business, like, I wonder what their internal figures are for their revenue lost based off of having to replace product. What
Right.
their margins are like for these last two generations. If they're, because it's definitely affected their stock price. And the amount of money that they're spending on the foundry side of it at the same time is enough to really make Intel as a large company have serious financial issues, you know?
Right.
I think Intel's too big to fail, and I think that the government values the foundries enough here in the U.S. that they would give Intel a bailout, kind of like they gave GM a bailout back in 2008. That was a very interesting reaction.
I don't know. I mean, the finance side, man, I understand that side. I don't know if the government would bail them out, per se, because they would eventually just fall in value so much. Like they're not going to go anywhere. They might fall in value enough to where somebody does buy them up, but it's not like I don't think there's any need to give them a bailout. I mean, I know what you're saying, like, but they're not going away. There's still too much value there.
I think if they were just making processors, that would be one thing. But because of the foundry side of it, with being a stateside chip maker as opposed to having to make those chips in China and then send them back here, with the geopolitical tensions, I think that the foundry side of it is almost worth more than Intel as a whole company. Because think about it, if we went to war, right, and this is large theoretical, not bringing anything else into it, but if we went to war, the government could do what they did in the 40s and tell individual factories to make whatever they need. They could look at Intel and be like, all right, you're making missile guidance chips now, as opposed to having to send that over to TSMC or whoever. And that is an invaluable asset to have in the States.
Yeah, I mean, their foundry business, all the stuff that Intel does is not going away. Like, they just might, they won't get a bailout either. They'll get bought out if it winds up getting that bad. But honestly, it's still pretty far away. They still make a lot of money, dude. Let me see. Ooh, market broke down today.
Yeah, I was actually just looking at that.
I mean, they still are generating, about 12.8 or so billion dollars in revenue a quarter, roughly about that. So about 13 billion a quarter. And I mean, they're still like relatively positive earnings, around the zero line on positive earnings. So like they'll be okay. It's not like they're not going away. I don't know. The question I have, I guess, is you said they're about to go to a new architecture. Does that mean that they are about to move past this 13th, 14th gen architecture and it's going to be completely new to where you don't have to worry about this?
Yes. So the 12th gen, 13th gen,
Right, 12th, 13th, 14th.
And 14th gen,
right,
are all basically the same design of chip with incremental improvements on the chip,
right,
and different power voltages to make the chip perform better. So think of it like if you're making your car, right, and then you reprogram the chip that controls the airflow into the engine, and all of a sudden you get a performance boost because you're allowing more air into the engine, and so your chip your car is going faster, right?
right.
So when they go to do a generation, then they'll change some of this stuff, and then that's why it's all compatible with the same motherboards, and a lot of it is just really, really minor enhancements over time to the chips.
Right. Yeah, even Jose said he went away from Intel pretty quick. He's on AMD.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. So I have a 12th gen chip in my computer, and I could wait till they came out with 15th gen and then drop like $200 or $300 to buy a processor to just pull the 12th gen chip out and put the 14th gen chip in, and then maybe get a 30% performance uplift from it.
Mm-hmm.
But do I trust that chip to last another 5 years like that? I don't know. I know the 12th gen chip will. I don't know that the 14th gen chip will. So then the consumer has to do this like calculation of, okay, well, if I only get a year out of it, it's $300 worth a year. And that's terrible math to have to do as a consumer. Intel doesn't even have a way, they haven't even released a utility yet to run on your computer to tell if your chip is damaged. You just have to send it into RMA, and then they will analyze it and tell you. And there was a story that came out earlier saying they had to do them all by hand. They had to hand analyze the chips. There's no automated way to do it.
Right. That seems like that will probably not be the case going forward. It seems like that they will find a way to some way check chips. Like, I mean, and I don't know if they can, but I'd imagine they're probably going to find a way because, I mean, the fact that this issue went on for over 3 years of this architecture data chipset, it was, I mean, it's pretty costly, dude, as for brand reputation, because Intel, which used to be like the King Kong in this space 20 years ago, is,
I mean, they still are.
no, dude, not really, man. They're slowly becoming
90% of all laptops are Intel.
okay.
Go
That's
to Best Buy and try
fine.
and find an AMD laptop. Can't find
But I'm talking about brand value. And I'd imagine there's a lot of people not sitting high on brand value with AMD or Intel right now.
So,
Which eventually leads over to actual sales.
so it's interesting because it's like there are some brands that are so big that you may not even really know who their main competition is. There's a lot of consumers that for the last 10 years have been trained to think Intel Core i3, i5, i7. And maybe if they're really up on it, they know what an i9 is, right? And if you ask a lot of those consumers, well, if you don't buy Intel, who would you buy? I don't think they could answer it.
I think a lot of those consumers that
They just buy whatever their little grandson Jimmy tells them to buy.
true. I don't think consumers pay that close attention. Like if you have no idea what i3, i5, i7 is, like you most likely don't give a crap. And then once you have an issue with said computer, you might ask a tech guy like, what is going on? Why is my computer crappy? And then you might get an answer. And if you get that answer and they say, oh yeah, you have an Intel processor, Intel processors are crap. Oh, well, where do I go if I don't use Intel, or what should I look out for in laptops, or what should I look out for in desktops? And they say, yeah, buy AMD. Just get an AMD.
I think the answer would be maybe you should buy a Mac before they even realize that AMD is a brand name in the mix.
I mean, I
Mac
could also
is
see
a
that.
more recognizable brand than AMD is. Jose brought up an interesting point in chat a few minutes ago. I don't know if you saw it, but he said that almost all government computers are
Yeah.
Intel.
Yeah, I know.
Think
I saw
about the
that.
size of all the computers in all the military bases, on the ships, on the subs. They're probably all Intel. And now they may not all be 12th gen or newer.
Oh yeah, no
But-
way. Government have latest tech in anything? No freaking way.
12th gen came out in 2020, so let's put that in perspective, right? So they're not 12th
No.
gen, they're very old computers and will probably be replaced soon. Unless it's like, critical server infrastructure that they just can't get rid of.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
things
I
at
don't.
the end user level get replaced fairly often.
Right. I don't know. I mean, Intel's not going to go anywhere, and obviously they do have a big deep pocket with the government, and it's not just the U.S. government; it's many governments. So obviously they do have pretty solid base there, but the government could also say, "Dude, quit fucking up, or we're just going to axe our contract." Yeah, it's
I don't know that Apple or AMD could even produce on the scale that Intel does. Because AMD is still fairly small.
They
compared
are.
to Intel.
Yeah, no, they are.
So if
But
someone
I can
came to
guarantee
them
you
with
one
like,
thing:
I need an
AMD,
order of
if
500,000 computers, I
if
don't know they'd be able
if
to do
they
it.
started getting some of those government contracts, absolutely they could expand, and it might take them a couple years to do it, but they would do it.
And that's not to say that there's not any AMD deployed anywhere inside of government facility, but it's a very, very small minority.
Right.
Um,
It's probably for very specific computer cases.
yeah.
Yeah, I just thought this was interesting that I saw this the other day, and I was like, I wonder if this is actually true. And from what you're saying, it's like, I don't even know if it is. I think as far as the consumer world, like people are like, I don't give a crap. I'm not putting an Intel product in my computer.
Well, that's if they know about the issue, right? They
Well,
don't know
I'd
about the
imagine
issue, they're still buying it up left and right.
I would imagine if you pay attention to the space, you know about the issue. Whether you use Intel or not, you probably just know about the issue just because, I mean, if it's an area that you kind of just pay attention to, I mean, you probably know about it. You might not know the depths of it because, if you're not using Intel, then you don't need to know the depths of it. But you've probably heard of it.
So if someone walks into Best Buy and they're like, "Hey, I want to buy a new gaming computer," and the sales rep there may be knowledgeable, they may not be, but at the end of the day, it's their job to sell stuff, right? And they're like, "Hey, let me go ahead and pick out one that fits in your budget." It's probably going to be an Intel. Like, even of the people who are buying computers, not all of them are enthusiasts. Not all of them care enough to know. They just want to know that it's going to run what they want it to run.
If I ever had some, like, okay, so let me tell you how this would go. If I walked in, I said, "Hey, I need a gaming rig," and the guy sold me a defective piece of crap that he knew was a defective piece of crap, like, there's lawsuits that can be brought up at that point in time.
Yeah, the lemon law.
Yeah. So, they're okay. I mean, I would agree that Best Buy's got product to sell, and they have salespeople that are there to sell stuff. But you also don't want to be selling defective pieces of crap. I mean, not unless this obviously this software fixes the issue, then obviously you're probably getting it on all the computers. That way it's not an issue. But that's if it works. And we'll find out probably here over the next month as people probably test this, right? Because they said that before. People come out like within a couple of weeks said, "Nope, that did not fix crap." Well, whenever that was, like 2-3 months ago. 3 months back, whenever that was. So yeah, I mean, it might take another month,
It is
but
interesting that they provided a root cause to it, right?
yeah,
So,
yeah.
like,
This one was a much more specific. Like, hey, this was the answer. It was too high voltage on whatever socket, whatever it was.
when this all first came out, Intel initially tried to place the blame on the motherboard makers, and
Right.
that did not work for them. People proved that it was a problem with the chips themselves, and ever since then, the motherboard makers have kind of gotten a pass. Because as soon as you bring up the motherboard manufacturers into it, they're like, no, it's a problem with the chips, which it is, but also, like, you've got Intel trying to root cause stuff when there's, 6 to 10 different motherboard manufacturers that are all have different models and different power voltages and all that sort of thing with these chips. And so I don't think it's just an Intel issue, but I think that ever since they disproved that the motherboards weren't the only reason that it's happening, the motherboard manufacturers have gotten a pass. And I don't know that that's a good thing.
Well, if you can only fix one problem at a time, and if it's across all the different motherboard manufacturers, then it's not just a motherboard manufacturing problem. And that was what a lot of the testers were saying. It's like this is happening across all my motherboards.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like there might be some jacked up motherboards out there, but you don't know that because the chips were faulty, and the chips were faulty across all of them, all the motherboards. So
do you remember that guy that Gamers Nexus was interviewing, Level 1 Techs, Wendell from Level 1 Techs?
yeah.
He's actually done more research into it recently.
Okay.
And he said that you're seeing different failure rates in different workloads. So people that had different servers that they rented for crypto mining had a much, much lower failure rate. And it's because the voltages weren't as variable. It wouldn't be like it'd spin up to start one process and then spin down and blah, blah, blah. Because they were crypto mining on the chips, basically the processors were always at 100%. And so because the voltages were always kept high,
constant. It was always constant.
Yeah. And it was steady. The chips weren't failing.
Interesting.
And there's this whole, I forget what the technical term is, but they call it a pipeline, right? And an instruction pipeline. And so basically you have this stage where you're trying to execute commands. Your processor queues these things up in a line and say you're number 1, you're number 2, you're number 3. And so depending on where something is in that line, it may require more or less voltage. And he was saying that the processor would spin up to give the voltage, and they'd be like, oh wait, we're waiting for a second, I can drop the voltage back down, and then by the time the workload hits, you'd be trying to do this crazy amount of work with not enough voltage. And he thinks that's where the damage was coming from. But it's happening so fast, it's like millions and millions of times a second this is happening. And so in things that have a sustained workload like crypto farming,
right,
you're not seeing that type of damage. But in things that fluctuate a lot like gaming or whatever, you see a much more varied amount of failures.
Right. I mean, it makes sense, but that's interesting.
I think Intel could actually be the first in a larger problem with this, because across the board, the last couple years, we've been seeing more manufacturers, like with GPUs especially, push the power limits on their cards. So like, when the 10 series came out, the NVIDIA like GeForce 1070, you only need a 500 watt power supply. And nowadays they're saying, oh, well, you need an 850 watt power supply minimum and if you want to be comfortable with headroom to run all your other accessories in your case or whatever, you probably need at least 1,000 kind of thing.
Right.
And so this could be the first group of products in a much larger trend across the board that has these types of issues. So, I don't know.
Yeah. No, it's just, as far as like this fix, I mean, it's going to take probably about at least a couple of weeks to probably really see if it's fixed, maybe even a month. But yeah, if I'd say if you got an Intel chip out there, if you want to get this update. And it really sucks for all those people that, their CPUs got jacked up before. I mean, it sucks. I mean, I don't know. Like, are you able to turn it in for a refund? Like, was it under warranty?
I believe for the 13th and 14th gen, Intel is issuing stuff.
Yeah, okay.
You have to send it in for RMA, but eventually. But the thing is, if you're sending in your processor for RMA, you literally have a $2,000 paperweight sitting on your
Yeah,
desk
I was
the
gonna say
entire time
you
you're
got
waiting on Intel to do your
nothing
stuff,
in it.
So
And how long does the RMA take?
I don't know.
Yeah, a couple
Depends on
weeks.
whenever they get to it.
Yeah,
Could
for
be weeks,
however
could
long
be-
the backlog is, could take a little while.
Yeah.
Ugh, all right, man. Well, hopefully it's done. Hopefully it's over with. Diets to be building Intel chips, computers going forward.
Nope. I just paid like $300 for a sideways upgrade in my main gaming PC to get on the Ryzen platform to get away from this issue.
Oh, you did go lateral. Okay.
Yeah, so in my other PC,
You
like
just
my
you
work
had to swap
computer,
out your motherboard, right? And
motherboard, processor,
Proce-
and RAM.
and what RAM?
And RAM, yeah.
Oh, okay.
And fun story, I ordered a 32 gig kit on Amazon, and they accidentally sent me a 96 gig kit. So my gaming computer is just a crazy amount of memory for no reason.
That's awesome though. I mean, good for you.
My wife was like, "You need to send it back. It's not the right product." I was like, "Bank error in my favor."
Yeah. You never gave it back in Monopoly.
No.
You remember that tax error in Monopoly?
Tax error?
Yeah, like oh no, I guess it was just bank error.
It was bank error in your
And then-
favor,
and then tax refund. I think it
and
was,
then tax refund. Yeah.
can you imagine ever getting a tax error? Hey, we're the IRS. We screwed up. What? No way. All right.
Yeah.
All right, man.
All right,
I'll leave
dude.
it there. Yeah, hopefully,
easy.
hopefully we never have to talk about Intel chips this extensively ever again.
Oh, but you are, because you're gonna ask me what to build for your Civ 7 PC.
No, they came out, dude. My current PC will run that thing.
Really?
Yeah, I'm
So
dead
it's already
serious.
out?
The specs are out.
Oh, the specs are out. Okay.
Yeah. So I don't think I can run it at like ultra settings, and I don't freaking need to run it at ultra settings, but So-
Okay.
yeah, I'm like, all right, cool. I don't have to worry about it as much.
All right, man. We'll take it easy.
Later,
I gotta
buddy.
Get ready for some Diablo. Less than
When
3
does it go
hours.
live? That's what Jose
7.
got off for.
7 Eastern.
7 Eastern, 6 o'clock. Okay. Did you stay up and watch the Cowboys game last night?
Yeah, I did.
All night, all the way to the end.
I was playing Diablo. It was just on the other screen.
Oh. So
Yeah. So I don't know if you remember Marvel, but he's a huge Cowboys.
I know. I saw him change his icon.
Yeah. So. All right, man.
I need to talk to. I guess I'll need to talk to Marvel about that because Dak Prescott, was the first person to throw a touchdown on 2 different days in the same game. if that ever comes up in trivia, now you know the answer.
Touchdown in 2 different days
Yeah,
in the same game.
right.
That's-
Because the game went over midnight.
Yeah, because of the lightning delay. That's very
Right,
interesting.
because they had the delay for like an hour and a half. Crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Alrighty, man.
All right, dude. I will talk to you later.
Later, buddy.
See ya.
Alrighty, everybody. I'm gonna wrap it there as well. Hopefully, you have a great rest of your day. Take care.